hello, this is Castor Risk, and welcome back to Koppai Podcast, episode 18. I am one of your hosts, Castor Risk, joined alongside Mr. Koppai himself, Zach Risk.
Yes, Mr. Koppai is me.
You are Mr. Koppai.
I am.
Koppai
That's me.
is you.
Yes.
All right. Welcome back. It is just the two of us this week. We want to thank Gray Hogan so much again for being on last week and talking about Operation Supply Drop, 8-Bit Salute, and everything about that, the therapeutical value of games and how we can bring fun where there is none. It was an awesome episode. If you haven't had the chance to go check that out, hop over to our YouTube, SoundCloud, iTunes, and you can check that out. And also, what was I going to say? I totally blanked. We have...
Good podcasting.
What?
Good podcasting.
Yeah, this is my first time hosting a podcast. 18 episodes in. No, also, and we have some other housekeeping to do. This week we don't really have anything co-launching with this episode. Some weeks we have like a review discussion going up, or we have a bonus discussion or a Patreon exclusive. This week we don't, but there's gonna be some stuff coming up. Next week, we're hopefully going to have a Star Fox Zero review discussion, or at least initial impressions, either in the podcast or as a separate discussion. And this past week, we're not going to talk about it in this podcast, but it was the 15th anniversary for Animal Crossing. It's been around for a decade and a half, which is absolutely insane because it honestly seems like a relatively new franchise still to me for some reason.
Yeah.
When you have like Pokemon doing 20 years, but then Animal Crossing is only 5 years younger, that seems a little weird. And so, kind of fitting in with what we've been doing with previous Patreon discussions, that's going to be our May Patreon exclusive episode, is an Animal Crossing retrospective, where we look back and we have tons and tons of Animal Crossing stories because the game kind of sets the stage for awesome interactions with the animals of the community and other just wacky shenanigans. So we're going to be sharing some stories, though. We're there playing some games and talking about the future of the series and the franchise. And so, yeah, that's coming up. And we also maybe have another interview or two or three coming up in the upcoming weeks with actual game designers. It was awesome to hear Gray Hogan's thoughts on gaming impacting troops and veterans and stuff. But it'll be exciting to move forward and hear what game designers have to say about specifically working with Nintendo hardware, software, in that field. We'll give you more details about that as we get more confirmation, and all those details may come when the actual guest is on, because we don't want to confirm anything and then have them accidentally back out or things not work out. But please be excited for that, because it's going to be a lot of awesome content moving forward in the upcoming weeks, especially as we grow as a brand and as a podcast, but also as more and more people have more and more stuff to share, because it's gonna get wild. The NX is coming. More games are gonna be coming.
You better buy a seatbelt.
Yeah, buy it. Who buys a seatbelt? You just have one in your car. You don't need to go out and buy one.
It's going to be a wild ride, so you better buy a seatbelt.
Well, to
John Kasich said that.
You know how they have, like, with those TV shows, how they have, like, a picture of, like, one of the actors, and then they have, like, a quote? We need to have, like, just a picture of you with, like, your fist to your chin. It's going to be a wild ride, so you better buy a seatbelt. Oh, no. But, yeah, I think that's, as far as I know, all the housekeeping that we have. Yeah. Stay tuned to all those announcements, because we especially this past weekend, we've been working on a lot of cool stuff that we're really excited to share, and we think it could be a cool step forward for Koppai, but we just don't want to share it quite yet because we don't know exactly how to all work. So I think that's enough of a tease, don't you?
Yeah, indeed.
Yeah. So 5 minutes in, I think it's no better time to unclog the Nintendo pipeline, because Zach, you have in your little book of secrets, your little notepad, you have quite a bit of some heavy duty stuff that you have the exclusive scoop on.
Oh yeah, totally.
You went to Bill Trinen's house,
and
you knocked on his door.
Right.
You're like, "Hey, Bill, And he was like, I can't tell if that's someone off the street or that's myself because he has an awesome Bill Trinen impression. And then Bill Trinen opened the door and you were like, hey, tell me everything you know about the Nintendo NX. And he was like, you know what? I'm going to share it with you. And he gave you all this information and he gave you full permission to share it today.
Yeah. He
He
gave me the
was
scoop.
he was going to be on, but he had to fly to Australia.
And he's going to be on at a later date. He said, he guaranteed, he promised.
Yeah, Pinky promised.
Yeah,
He
he just
wrapped.
wants it to be a more like special planned out occasion, It was
Yeah,
kind of
Koppai.
spontaneous because I just knocked on his door.
Yeah, Koppai 100 will definitely have Bill Trinen on,
For
no
sure,
doubt.
yeah.
Uh,
Guaranteeing it right now. I guarantee you that. I'll
Bill
tell you that
Trinen
right now.
this is going to be a historic moment in Koppai history. Bill Trinen will be on Koppai 100. We're calling it. We're predicting it. We're saying it. We're declaring it now.
The
Episode
angels
18.
will make it happen.
We'll have the little stars, the little sprites in the sky that surround Rosalina. The Lumas will
Yes.
gather around and help us. Anyway, get on to the news
Yeah, the
or the
scoop
Nintendo
that Bill
pipeline.
gave me, all 100% true, everything that you just said. It didn't come from a NeoGAF verified poster named 10K. It came directly from Bill to me.
Yeah, okay.
And so, yeah.
Word of mouth, not even a
We're,
phone call. Like he was
yeah.
in full audible English, looking into your eyes, saying this, not
Yes.
blinking.
Yeah, and he did designate that for some reason he was like, some of these are like not as true as maybe some other things.
He wanted us to guess on the podcast. He's
Yeah.
kind of like it's kind of like a game. Like
He's like, I divided these into tiers for you. There's tier one, which is like, this is kind of true, maybe. And then there's like the tier three, which is like, this is pretty much going to happen because we are all in on it. Or something like that. I don't remember the exact conversation, his exact wording. I didn't have a
you weren't really
notepad.
paying attention.
Yeah.
You were kind of like looking around Bill's house, like, what am I
Yeah.
doing here?
Yeah, I was completely in awe, and so yeah, some of this might be a little inaccurate, so take everything with a grain of salt. But he did tell me some things about the NX,
Okay.
and the first thing that he said might not be completely true is that the NX will use a custom Polaris-like GPU,
Ooh.
and it says the NX GPU is using features that are debuting on the Polaris chip and therefore heavily speculated to be a Polaris chip, as that would work well in a handheld too and help AMD prove that they can make low wattage chips with good performance for small devices. Something of note is that the source, Bill said, that is marginally better than the PS4 and theoretically could be 2 times the power of the PS4 GPU. Um,
That seems.
yeah, and they also asked, or I mean, I I asked about the PS4K being rumored to have a GPU 2 times as powerful as the OG PS4 and how the theoretical performance of the NX would be, and Bill said theoretically it could be close to the PS4K rumored specs. So, despite being, not possibly true, or it's on kind of the lowest tier, I think it makes a lot of sense because we've been speculating about how it's going to be a handheld that has possibly its standalone power to run games or something, and so it would
Yeah.
need to be really powerful, and it would need to have some sort of interesting new sort of chip power to be able to do it. Like, and we were talking about like the 900p rumor, which
Yeah.
is kind of specific for these sort of handheld chips, experimental things. So it seems somewhat credible despite
Yeah, and
being
it
kind of the
seems
lower
like, I
tier.
mean, we haven't really discussed the PS4K rumors too much on Koppai because we're not a PlayStation podcast, but you and I very much so follow the PlayStation scene.
Right.
We have PlayStations ourselves and play that quite often, so we know we're kind of up to date on what those things are.
Hmm.
And the speculation with that is that the PS4K is mainly, if it is true, which it seems all but confirmed right now. Like it may
Yeah.
not, or to all but confirmed to be in development. It may not be launching and it may not be coming out, but they're definitely experimenting with a more powerful PS4. A lot of people think to coincide with the launch of PlayStation VR that maybe through connecting your PSVR to PS4K, it would be able to process the virtual reality better. And maybe like with a traditional PS4, you would have 720 virtual reality games, but with the PS4K, you could do the 1080p or 60 frames per second or something like similar to like a new 3DS style thing.
Uh-huh.
And it would make sense then if Nintendo is along the same path where they're going to have this, for the sake of having a peripheral be able to process the graphics easier, like we've mentioned with the handheld controller. And it also, like, it's interesting that these rumors are popping up, like about a more powerful Nintendo console that's more powerful than the PS4. And there's also like very confirmed rumors of a more powerful PS4 coming. And even Xbox has had confirmed rumors of them making upgradable parts to their Xbox One. And so,
Hmm.
no doubt, like and I think we even had a rumor from GameStop,
Yeah,
about like the executive there saying that new consoles across the board are imminent, like they're coming.
yeah.
And so that just makes sense that some sort of processing company is getting in touch with Bill Trinen and being like, "Hey, I have this chip. Do you want it?" And Bill's like, "Absolutely. Like,
Hmm.
I'm gonna put that in the console that I'm making by myself."
Yeah.
The Trinen box. The
Yeah, he also said that he's working with Vulkan too with the NX. So this goes hand in hand with using Polaris-based GPU and goes with the announcement of Nintendo joining Kronos.
hmm.
So yeah, some credibility to that. And most dev kits won't be given until Nintendo formally reveals the NX. Nintendo is not very happy with the leaks and is keeping them on lockdown. So Bill, shame on you, but outside of close partners and internal teams, most devs are using SDKs until the NX reveal.
Yeah.
So yeah, not too much to talk about there,
Yeah, I mean,
really.
there was worry, I think, in the past that people were saying that developers aren't getting NX kits, and I think there are a few. The rumors have discussed that,
Yeah.
if these are true.
Hmm.
But yeah, it does make sense that they're kind of holding off and
Well, and,
stuff.
and also, like we've talked about before, is the fact that we have heard that the NX is very easily portable, or like
Yeah,
you can port to it very easily, and so people don't necessarily need these dev
yeah.
kits because it'll be so easy to port their games that some of these complaints about people being worried, like I haven't got my dev kit yet, you might not necessarily be in too bad of a spot because it might be a lot easier than you anticipated because of how accessible they're making the new NXB in terms of its hardware and all of that.
Yeah,
So,
it seems the nice thing about it, from what we've heard, is it seems like it's doing the traditional Nintendo kind of gimmick system where they have like the handheld combining with My Nintendo and like all of those like unique things. But they've also compromised and they're like, okay, we'll have a handheld with a screen that's touch screen and stuff, but we'll make it so it's mirroring the actual TV. So you don't need to worry about, for a game designer, designing some sort of whole new UI or HUD or function for the gamepad. Like just go ahead and mirror it, but um, it'll be touch for some games, or you know what I'm saying. Like
uh-huh.
it'll have those capabilities if you want those, but it doesn't necessarily need to take advantage of those. It doesn't need to be a whole extra step. And I think with that standard established across the board, you won't have developers hesitant to take advantage of that. And it also sounds like, once again, going off the previous point, it sounds like you said, it'll be easy to port. It may actually just be the same exact hardware as PS4K. Maybe
Right.
like
Right.
certain proprietary like parts and stuff, but very much so just another computer in a Nintendo case.
Hmm. Yeah, and it seems like it's going to be awesome because it seems developers have been having headaches for years now with Nintendo and trying to get
Hmm.
their games to work and so many delays and games coming out like a year later or many years like we see with Minecraft that like just came out
Yeah.
that it took way too long to get Minecraft on even the Wii U. So there must be some things where like developers really have to compromise and do crazy porting strategies to get these games on Nintendo consoles. And it seems like for the first time, Nintendo's actually smartening up in that area and releasing a system that is going to be a lot easier for that. And also, like they say, that there's a lot of Nintendo NX games in development is one of the other of these rumors. And if there's a lot of NX games in development, like from Nintendo, and then also all these ported games, it seems like it's going to be a really robust library of games and really a strong console. So it's really cool to see,
Yeah.
even though we haven't really seen anything of it yet.
Yeah. Well,
Emergency.
we'll know something soon because they're going
Yeah.
to announce it officially in April.
Hmm.
Yeah.
It'll probably
If
be,
they haven't already announced it by the time this podcast goes up on Monday morning.
yeah, after my emergency declaration to them to announce the Nintendo NX, I think they're gonna hear that pretty soon, and
Well, yeah, didn't they hear your announcement and didn't they decide to do like a financial meeting at the end of April?
something like that. Or
Yeah.
I know that you're in part of something that's trying to keep it under
No,
wraps until like the end of April or something. I know something like hopefully it comes out this month because you have some sort of weird, you know, insider
I've had the
knowledge. I don't know.
prediction
I'm
for a
totally.
while that it'll be announced and or like not necessarily like revealed, but it'll be announced and officially talked about. Like we'll get the name and we'll get
Hmm?
the details shared in April.
Yeah.
And especially, I didn't even know. I said all that. Like I've said
Hmm.
that for a while now.
Yeah. Well, and you're part of
Maybe I haven't
the.
officially said it on Koppai, but you can vouch for me. I've said that in like Facebook conversations and
Yeah.
tweets and
Well,
texts and
and
stuff.
you're part of the Illuminati, so
Yeah.
you
Well.
know these things. Like you're in on it, so
Well.
yeah.
Come on. I
You're
mean,
part of the big conspiracy.
yeah. Well, even Link from Zelda and stuff. He's Illuminati. I mean, that
Yeah.
Triforce is not a coincidence to be a triangle.
Yep.
And he's green, and money's green. I rest my case.
Yeah.
Moving on.
Yeah. Kaz has the puzzle pieces, and so I'm just throwing that out there. Moving on, Mercury Steam has a dev kit and is making an already announced game for the NX. The only announced game they have is Raiders of the Broken Planet, currently under development for PS4, Xbox One, and PC. So that's likely the game that is
Can't
going to
wait.
be coming for the NX. Another rumor: a Final Fantasy
Woo,
15 is coming to the
doctor.
NX. The source said he's heard more of this. More of his sources mentioned it's coming to NX, no idea when. And as in terms of Final Fantasy VII remastered, nobody's heard about it. It's unlikely that it would get an NX port because it seems it's very Sony funded and
Yeah.
Sony attached. So,
Yeah, I don't know. Final Fantasy 15, I was actually wondering, I was looking for some sort of leak or confirmation during the, because I watched that big, what was it? Uncovered, Final Fantasy 15 Uncovered with
uh
Sam
huh,
and Greg.
yeah,
And I was looking when they had the final title screen of like the release date. I was looking at the bottom to see if just somehow, for some reason, it was like PS4, Xbox One, Nintendo NX, like if they just confirmed it there, like accidentally or maybe
yeah.
like
They
on
should have
purpose.
done that. That would have been
Um,
awesome.
yeah, I mean, because Final Fantasy definitely does like have a lot of heritage, like with either Nintendo or you could argue with Sony, because
Hmm.
there's kind of different eras and stuff of Final Fantasy. And Final
Yeah,
Fantasy 15 shaping up to be like an awesome, awesome game. I think it looks
yeah.
incredible.
Well,
And
I mean, if it's just as powerful, basically, the NX, like, why wouldn't they?
yeah,
Unless it's, I mean, especially now that Cloud is on Smash and stuff, it seems like there's some sort of, and I mean, Square Enix has been having games come out for Nintendo consoles for years now. They've had
yeah.
like a
I
sort
just
of
picked up
repaired
Curtain
relationship.
Call for the 3DS, the little rhythm game of Final
Yeah,
Fantasy. It's
and
so fun.
it seems I'm not for sure on this. Does Final Fantasy come out on the Microsoft Xbox platforms? I didn't.
Yeah,
It
Final
does.
Fantasy
Okay,
15 will. Yeah.
okay, so yeah, if it's on that and if it's not a PlayStation exclusive, I don't see any reason being competitively powerful as a console that it wouldn't, and with being easily ported, there should be no real reason that it would be left
Yeah.
off. It should
I think
be made to support Final Fantasy 15.
it just depends on it'll depend on the initial install base or whatever. And I mean, Nintendo's probably making deals to be like just go ahead and trust us with the NX, although that may be hard for a developer to do. But I mean, because you did have a game like, say, for example, Grand Theft Auto 5. Like
Hmm.
Grand Theft Auto 5 could run on the PS3 and the Xbox 360, and the Wii U was more powerful than those consoles. And so it made no sense for the Grand Theft Auto 5 not to launch on.
But is it
Um,
more powerful than those consoles?
yeah, it definitely is. Like
Okay.
if you look at comparisons of like Assassin's Creed 4, which is on all three,
Hmm.
Assassin's Creed 4 ran like significantly better on Wii U, or not significantly, but like it did run better. It was like
And that was a next gen. It wasn't on like PS3 or Xbox 360.
it was on PS3, Xbox 360, Wii U, PS4, Xbox One.
Okay.
And like when doing like graphical and like frame rate
Hmm.
comparisons, it was worst on 360 and PS3.
Hmm.
It was
Okay.
about clocking in like at a medium power or so on Wii U and then high power on
I
PS4
see.
and Xbox
I
One.
see.
So it was more powerful, but it wasn't as powerful as PS4 and Xbox One. The
Right.
point being any game on the PS3 and Xbox 360 power wise should be able to run on the Wii U, but you had a lot of games that like several Assassin's Creed games
Yeah.
weren't. Grand Theft Auto 5 then, for example.
Yeah, well,
And then,
and,
I
and
mean,
a lot of
and
people
many
lost
more.
faith in it, I think, too, because of just like the difficulty. I don't think a lot of it maybe not necessarily had to do with the power, but
Yeah.
maybe the development for it and maybe like the unique sort of elements to the Wii U system that
Yeah,
made it
same
more
reason people
difficult.
don't develop for the Vita.
And also just Nintendo's general, like I could see them for sure bringing a Final Fantasy 15 game to the Wii U, but bringing Grand Theft Auto 5, I would think that just Nintendo as a company would be a little more hesitant to
Yeah,
do.
maybe.
Um, like I really would be surprised if we see a Grand Theft Auto game on a Nintendo console at any time. I just think it's one of the things that they might.
Well, no, didn't we have like China Wars or something on
We
3DS
did,
or
yes, that's true. We did have that. So
yeah,
there's
so I mean, I
that
don't
exception. I guess that's they
yeah,
did do
there I mean
that.
cuz I don't know if it's necessarily an issue, but yeah, I think it is like you mentioned, just the development for it I think is really tough. Like
Hmm.
we heard about that with like the Vita for example, where the Vita is definitely capable of handling almost every PS3 game to some capacity. Maybe like
Yeah.
especially like the indie and the PS Network games. But
Hmm.
then you have a game like Axiom Verge for example, which didn't come out for like like I mean like well after the initial release and the initial promise of it coming out because it's just hard to develop for it. Like it's capable and it's possible, but it's just this is a
Yeah.
harder game to port over than it would seem. And I'm so excited for. I think it'll be not next week, but 2 weeks from now. We're hopefully going to have that game designer on that's worked with the Wii U,
Hmm.
and they've worked with a game that's been on PC and on Wii U, and they weren't personally involved with the porting system,
Yeah.
but I think they would be at least somewhat familiar with it and maybe the mindset
Right.
of porting.
Hmm.
And it'll be interesting to ask them, like at least with the Wii U hardware, like how that process went and why it was maybe sometimes so difficult. Because yeah, I think at the end of the day that's what the problem was. But we've also seen that the NX is probably not going to have that problem,
Hmm.
and it'll be the first console in quite a while for Nintendo that hasn't been very hard to port over. Like with the NES and the SNES, that was relatively simple. I mean, you had Nintendo standards and stuff, and they were very much so like limiting what could be on the market, and was the reason that you had to have companies making like almost spin-offs of their own companies so they could release more games on the Nintendo or on the Nintendo Entertainment System. But then, like by the time you got to the N64 and you had developers wanting to do disc-based stuff, and then Nintendo was like, "No, you gotta do cartridges."
Yeah.
That posed problems for porting, and then the GameCube took that a step farther and made it even harder to port. And then the Wii had completely unique controls compared to other controllers, which made things even harder to port. And then you have the Wii U, which completely not only in gameplay, controllers, but also just in internal hardware, just made it a nightmare. And
Hmm.
then the install base, it just that's been for 2 decades Nintendo's biggest withdrawal or what would be or crutch or whatever
Hmm.
was the fact that they are almost somewhat mean to their third party support. They make it so hard to want to support
Yeah.
them
Yeah.
as a developer, and if the NX flips that, like not only makes it easier, but makes it almost foolish not to just go ahead and make a version for the NX and at least put it out on like the digital store where there's like almost absolutely no cost to you besides their server space. Um, that'll be insane, like to see like how that
Yeah.
completely flips like Nintendo's market. And so,
Yeah, it seems like they're going to try to make it profitable. Like they're going to try to make it so that it seems like one of the main issues maybe with all the third parties developing and porting their games to Nintendo consoles these past couple decades or so is that it's been like a potential loss of profit to put your resources and your time into working on developing for it. And now
yeah,
with a simpler, easier way, it might just be make like an easy way to make profit. Like it will be relatively cheap to port to the NX, and then you just make all of your revenue off of potential sales for there. So yeah, that's a really cool prospect.
yeah, definitely.
So yeah, we got there's actually a whole bunch of information that Bill delivered. That
How
the
long were you there? I
A
mean,
few hours. We
yeah.
had some cookies and milk and sat in front of the fire, and he just told me some
You sat
NX.
in front of the fire, and it's like, I mean, at least where I'm at, it's like 70 degrees out. Like
Yeah,
mid-April, you just sit by the fire, and
yeah, he was wearing like a sweater.
my gosh, you must have been so hot. I guess it is Seattle, though. It was probably rainy.
Yeah, it was it was very nice. He said the NX will likely launch at different times per region. Um, because it does make sense if the NX uses 14 NM chips, as there's a risk of not having enough of those chips ready on shelves for holiday 2016. No regions were specified, but one would assume with the slow adoption of consoles in Japan and the popularity of handhelds over there, the NX will launch in the West first, like some past Nintendo consoles. Consoles are more popular outside of Japan, likely North America and Europe. So that's kind of nice for us, I guess.
That I don't like that rumor
Mhm.
at all. Like whether it benefits us or benefits someone else. Like if we get
Right.
it earlier, if we get it later, I like the idea of just a worldwide release. Like I
Yeah,
like how they do that
definitely.
with Pokemon. I like how they've been doing that with like Final Fantasy 15, for example. We just talked about that. I believe that's a worldwide release for September 30th. And I mean, I think especially with the internet age, people communicate across everything. And it was a really big bummer when they got the new 3DS first over in Japan because it's not that like I was like jealous or wanted to play it and stuff. Like I knew like what it would be and I knew it wouldn't be like such a radical new experience. But it's just like, I mean, you have it. We can see it. We're watching videos online. Like it's not. I mean, with like Mitomo for example, it's
Right.
like there's the English version available. Like why is it not just over here?
Yeah,
But
Yoshi's Woolly World was so ridiculous how it
that
was
was
like
that because
months and months, and it was like, what?
yeah, people were like finishing the game and like posting reviews, and like it was so weird that I think even IGN when they posted their review finally, they're like, "Yeah, we reviewed this
Uh-huh.
months ago, but here's what we said in our
Yeah.
European site and stuff." I mean, that was weird too because I mean, once
Yeah.
again, it was like all English for the most part. So I mean, why was it not over
And it
here?
has to cause those things like when I saw the announcement for Yoshi's Woolly World when it was coming out and it was like June 21st or something, and I was like throwing a little party for a minute like, "Oh yeah, it's coming out soon." And then I see it's like Europe only and I'm like, "Oh, dang, what? What's going on?" And so it seems
Yeah,
like inevitably it's going to have some of those people that like when they announce the NX and say it's coming out this date, people in Japan are like, "Oh yeah." And then they're like,
yeah.
"Oh man, it's not coming out here for like another 6 months." So,
Yeah, I mean, I wonder. Hopefully, because it sounds like I wonder if it's going to be kind of like the Smash situation where we got Smash right before Black Friday because Black Friday is a huge deal for us here,
yeah.
and then Europe I don't believe got it till like a week later, and then Japan didn't get it I think for the Wii U version till like December.
Mhm.
Um, and it wasn't like a big deal because they don't really have that whole culture of like go shopping on Black Friday. And so I wonder if that's what's maybe going to be because they talk about or Bill was telling you about how they have like the chips and stuff and how they need to develop those 14, what is it, nanometer chips.
Yeah.
They need to like have those, and those are harder to get their hands on and harder to produce. And so to get those out for holiday 2016, they're going to be limited on shelves, probably similar to the Wii situation where they just did not develop a lot of those. And they probably also don't want to send out a bunch of Nintendo NXs and have a Wii U situation where those
Right.
things are just gathering dust next to the PlayStations. And so that makes sense and all that they'd be hesitant on that, but then also maybe just try it out with like Black Friday in the North like America area.
Uh-huh.
Um, but I mean, yeah, good news for us and stuff. I don't. I mean,
Yeah, definitely.
hopefully Bill changes his mind on that and is like, you know what?
Yeah.
I'm gonna click the schedule button on my Google Calendar for worldwide release October 13th, 2016, my birthday. Only he would say Kaz's birthday.
Yeah.
Yeah. Moving forward.
Yeah, he also said there's lots of NX games in development, and he said, and you can quote me on this on the gaff too. I think NX software output is going to blow away Wii U. There's a lot of games in development. I don't know if we'll see all of them at E3 since a lot of Wii U projects weren't announced until January 2013, but I'm very impressed so far with what I'm hearing. So yeah, that's really good news. Makes sense that they would try to be surpassing the Wii U in all sorts of ways. So, yeah. And with ports and blah blah blah, and this other rumor that new IP are being developed. And he said, I'm not allowed to give specifics, but that's a sure bet. And then he clinked his glass against mine, and that was it for that tier.
And the flames kind of flickered in his eyes, and
Yeah.
he chuckled and rolled
And then
back. And then
he
you
said,
heard Reggie walk in, and he was like, "Zach, what are you doing here?" And
yeah,
then you all played Mario Kart for
yeah,
the NX,
uh huh.
Mario
Well,
Kart 9.
Reggie actually said, you know what? Luigi's Mansion 3 is in development for the NX.
You just heard it from across the room, like you were laughing
And I
with
was like,
Bill, and
Reggie,
then
I
like,
already heard this like last week or like, I don't know, a couple weeks ago or something. Reggie, this is old news. Gosh,
oh
Reggie always coming in and just ruining everything, like the Smash
my
imitation of
God,
it.
putting Reggie on blast.
No, I love Reggie. I'm just kidding.
Happy birthday,
Uh,
Reggie.
yeah, happy birthday to you. Yeah, he did tell me Luigi's Mansion. I was actually very ecstatic to hear that Luigi's Mansion is in development for the NX. Um, he told me that two different sources told him that it's in development for the NX. And one source said it's being developed by Next Level Games, who is definitely big enough to do this, and Federation Force at the same time, which sounds very Reggie. One source said it started as a Wii U game, but after the disappointing performance of the Wii U and the scheduled release date for the game being late in the console's cycle, Nintendo decided to switch development over to the NX. Basically the same situation as Zelda for Wii U, but no word on if this game will also get a Wii U version.
Hope
His
not.
other source said it's a pretty big deal, but didn't elaborate if they meant Nintendo is making it a big deal or if their workplaces. So, and there's also some other evidence to corroborate the story, like the rumor from a couple weeks back. But yeah, very exciting because Luigi's Mansion is always awesome.
Hmm.
So yeah,
Yeah, definitely. We've talked about that.
yeah,
So, I mean,
yeah.
really exciting. Hope it's true. Hope it's on the NX and that it's more like the original Luigi's Mansion.
Hmm.
You can find our snippet discussion on that on Koppai, some YouTube, or listen to, I think it's episode probably
Yeah,
16, I think.
yeah,
Um,
yeah.
yeah, so
Well
we have
then,
that discussion there.
yeah, then they got really mellow and they were like, "Do you want to hear like the big thing?" And I'm like, "What's the big thing?" They're like the NX gimmick. And I'm like, "Yeah, are you sure you're ready for this?" And I'm like, "I'm ready. Please tell me." And they said the
Your body was
NX.
ready,
My body was
and
ready.
Reggie got his body ready.
Everybody's body was ready.
The
And
room was
they,
tense.
yes, I leaned forward and they said the NX is going to have a screen controller. Whether it's optional or standard, I don't know. And it can be used anywhere to play your home console games. The controller itself will not have any processing capabilities.
Oh
It'll
man.
essentially be a dummy Vita. It'll likely have basic OS functions to access the NX console from anywhere, like a tiny CPU. And Nintendo will use enhanced Wii U gamepad streaming tech and allow the controller to be taken anywhere and connect to the NX console at home, likely through Wi-Fi or personal hotspots, and the NX console will likely have to be in standby mode. Basically, it's remote play built into the box and won't require a $200 add-on to experience it.
Yeah.
Basically, a little jab at the Vita. This is likely what Kimishima meant when, in his interview with Senkai, he said there's a different way to play with a dedicated machine and the whole new way to experience games with the NX mantra that's been going around Nintendo PR. So, yeah, the
Definitely, I mean,
screen
because
is going to have a screen controller, which we already knew, but
yeah,
just
yeah.
more
It sounds like your visit
confirmation.
to Bill and Reggie's was like not totally packed with information. I think the
Yeah.
big thing is just like that with all this information on NeoGAF now with a verified user.
Uh-huh.
The big news is just that a lot of this is reconfirming things you've
Right.
already heard with a more verified voice.
Yeah, for
Um,
sure.
whether it's Bill, Reggie, or 10K on NeoGAF.
Yeah.
Because the story of Bill
Or
and
Emily
Reggie may
Rogers.
or may not be true.
Right.
That may have been more creative integrity,
Oh,
or what's the term? Artistic liberty. There we go.
yeah. Yeah, yeah.
Actually, almost completely lacking integrity. Man, no, definitely cool. I mean,
Yeah.
I think the whole concept. I mean, you have Nintendo kind of revolutionaryizing. There you go. That's the
Hmm.
word. Play with
Revolutionaryizing.
yeah, with touch controls, and the whole touching is good. That was their ad campaign.
Okay.
You know, don't laugh at
Yeah.
me.
No,
It was
they meant it. I'm sure to make me laugh.
yeah, touching is good.
Indeed.
They had now you're playing with power with like the NES and stuff and the SNES because that was like compared to some of the competition at the time was more powerful and then Sega upped them on that. But then they had I mean a whole new way to play and how will you play next and we would like to play and it makes sense for their next kind of goal, especially with the kind of like Mitomo and their mobile initiative and this the whole concept of where games are going for it to be gaming on the go like that whole experience of gaming wherever, gaming at home, gaming on the bus, gaming with your 3DS, but connecting it to your phone, but connecting it to your TV, but connecting. I mean, just like the NX is crossing over everything.
Uh-huh.
That just makes sense for like the next evolution of Nintendo. And so I don't even think that's a gimmick necessarily, because a gimmick sometimes implies like, all right, this is silly. Like this is only going to appeal to a few people. But the concept of being able to game wherever, like the Vita on paper, is an awesome idea.
Uh-huh.
Why it failed, I mean, the memory card, I guess, was a really big flaw. Like they had
Mm-hmm.
to pay for those memory cards.
Definitely.
But beyond that, I mean, I think it still seems to be a mystery. Like even the best people in like the PlayStation conversation seem to be like, I don't know why this failed. You know, like
Mm-hmm.
it's powerful, it's portable, it's sleek. It has, I mean, at the moment of its launch, it had like the best operating system. Why it failed, I think, just because the price, maybe, which was the Sony problem back then. Um, and I guess once again, just the lack of third-party support. But I mean, you even had Call of Duty on there. Like they were pumping some quality games in there. So I don't know why
Mm-hmm.
that necessarily failed.
Right.
Um, but I mean, I think if it were to get a second chance, especially if it were to get if you were to have a Nintendo Vita,
Yeah.
like where Nintendo were pumping games into there, and then it had the power of what the NX is supposed to be. It just seems like it's just taking what the Vita should have been and taking what the Wii U should have been, putting them together, which I think just
Mm-hmm.
sounds like an ideal console.
Yeah.
Uh, a breed between the Wii U and the Vita.
Mm-hmm.
Seems like such an awesome idea. And so,
Yeah, definitely.
moving forward, we're not going to talk too much about this. We did get some more Emily Rogers rumors.
Mm-hmm.
She was the one that was Actually, wait, no, we may actually talk about this for a little bit. I misread that. She was the one that was in charge of the Zelda rumors, which we talked about over on our Zelda Patreon episode. You can get that for $1. Also, if you do go pick that up for $1, you get a free March exclusive episode of our Pokemon discussion. So 2 hours of content for just $1, and you get to help us make more content. It's a steal of a deal. She went on Twitter. She's actually on a Twitter sabbatical right now. She's turned off her Twitter till she said May 1st because she's taking a little break, and she also probably got in trouble. And they're like, "Hey, Emily, we're gonna announce the NX in like a couple weeks. Can you just hold off till May 1st?" And she was like, "Yeah." So she privatized her Twitter. Um, that's all not confirmed, highly speculation, but I think it makes sense. Um, she said that there's also, speaking of all these ports, all this development, all these new games coming to the Wii U, she said, "Hey, I went to Bill's house too." Actually, she did not say that, but she may have. Maybe that's how she got her information. And she's heard that there's speculation that the new Zelda's coming to the NX. We've basically known that forever because it's just obvious.
Yeah.
That Smash Bros is probably coming to the NX. We've also talked about that because
Yeah.
they're still working on updates.
Mm-hmm.
They probably have more characters. They got to get that Inkling in there from Splatoon. I don't know why it's not a character yet, and I'm still waiting on Tails to be an official character and not just a Mii costume because you and I need to do a tag team of Sonic and Tails and Paper Mario. But she also said that Super Mario Maker and Splatoon could hit the system too. But Rogers cautioned us. She said, "Wait, hold up, before you get excited and you break your Super Mario Maker CD in half and throw it at your Splatoon one and break that too with the thrust of your broken Super Mario disc." She says, "Just because something is in development doesn't mean it'll be released. So either all four of these ports will come or only two of them will."
Well,
It's kind of like that classic two lies, two truths
yeah.
sort of thing. And so
Well,
Emily says that Zelda and Smash Bros. Sound like guarantees after speaking with at least 10 people regarding these
well.
4 points or ports, two of which may or may not be Reggie and Bill.
Mm,
Just saying, Koppai speculation, Koppai conspiracy.
yeah.
Splatoon is said to be up in the air. And what we've also heard from, I don't know if this is also from Emily Rogers or maybe it was just kind of the speculation. People are thinking that the problem with this is because Super Mario Maker and Splatoon are so online based. And to port those over, I think the thing is they want to have the communities maybe somehow work together or have your stats carry over your levels in Splatoon or your gear or something like that. And I think that's the difficulty right now because the original games weren't designed with that mindset of
Yeah.
porting things over.
Mm-hmm.
I would think. I mean, I'm no designer. I'm no hero, but I think the Super Mario Maker should be relatively easy to port over, unless it's like a drastically different system. I would think that the levels and stuff could just be like you could just move the templates over and
Yeah.
they would adjust accordingly. But I mean that's also maybe like moving a level over is easy. Moving the millions that are on there are hard. And maybe that's why they're deleting some so easily. Like
Yeah.
maybe they're trying to clean it all up so they can port some over because they're like, oh, we have too many levels on here. We need to transfer them over. Here, let's delete the ones that get no stars because
Yeah.
those suck. Um,
Well, it's
I was
also
gonna.
interesting
Oh,
that
go ahead.
that like Rocket League, for example, and stuff is coming out as more like they're um, doing crossplay between platforms of like PS4 and Microsoft, or like if you're on PC or something, you can play people on the same server. It's becoming more common for platforms that have online aspects to be like you're playing with people from different consoles. And so I'm wondering if possibly Nintendo has worked out a way where like if you got the Splatoon port for NX, you'd still it wouldn't be that difficult to just have everybody on the same Splatoon server,
Yeah,
or for Mario Maker just for the NX port to just still access the same exact servers of Mario Maker. I don't know why, especially in this day and age where things are maybe getting a lot simpler in that regard, that it might, and especially Nintendo's abilities with their, being able to stream things like with zero latency to the gamepad and coming up with, I don't know, insane technologies of ways to make it work. I would think that it might not be that big of a challenge for them to do something
yeah,
like that. And it seems to make sense, especially with like a game like Splatoon and Smash Bros. To release definitive Game of the Year sort of editions of the games, or just
yeah. Or at
like
least a
gold
sequel. I
editions,
mean,
or yeah, something like
and
that.
I'd be fine with that even if it was you could bring over like maybe not be able to bring over your levels, but yeah, I mean at least bring Super Mario Maker over. Like
Yeah,
to have to go back to the Wii U to play that game because I would still want to play that game. Like there's no way I'm gonna be playing like I'm not gonna be playing Super Mario Maker for years to come. Like that game's just always gonna be something that I want to pick up. And I'm just gonna create like entire worlds at a time when I actually do. It'd be a shame for that game not to be like easily accessible, along with Smash and stuff.
yeah.
Splatoon, I don't know. I mean,
It's
I
such a
think
big
uh,
hit.
I
It,
think Game Explain was talking more about they would rather have like a Splatoon sequel,
yeah.
um, or something like that. Like it seems like it'd be better to
But
have like the
it's
Splatoon
it's
NX.
also kind of like a Counter-Strike-ish game almost too, where it's like it doesn't really have to change or come out with like a Counter-Strike 2. It's such
Yeah,
a big game. It's super popular and like was a smash surprise hit for Nintendo, I think
yeah,
that
it's so good. I wish I
it's
played more of it, but it's just
yeah.
like you just gotta be invested. But I mean, I remember playing that game and just it's nothing but good feelings. Like it just
Yeah.
I can't explain it, but it just makes you the music, the charm, the graphics, the gameplay. It's all so
Yeah.
appealing to the brain.
Hmm.
Absolutely 10 out of 10 game. Like it's just I mean, the only
Yeah.
complaint was the content, and if they launched the NX version with all of the content they like have added over the years
Uh-huh.
which once again makes me think like it's the same kind of Smash mentality where like, they're adding content to it. They're not done with it.
Yeah,
I
well, and
think I think they're adding all that because they're just preparing the NX one.
yeah, true. And well, and like it seems a reason they might want to do it is because it seemed like if you get Smash Bros today or if you get Splatoon today and you put it in your Wii U, do you have to download like a gigabyte update or something for it right away? Like it seems like they might want to make it so that it's a little more accessible in the way where you just plug it
Yeah, I would
in
assume
and
so.
it's the latest update is on the game, all of the downloads. You're just basically ready to go right when you get the game, and you don't have to plug it in and wait 2 hours potentially for this huge update, depending
Yeah,
on your internet speed, to actually get in with the latest version and all that. So it seems like that could be an incentive also to release these games that are more um, built around downloadable updates and have gotten a whole bunch of extra content to release more definitive versions of them, on the latest console to, support that and get more sales just like we see with just constant remasters on Xbox and PlayStation, because
yeah,
it's a great way to get the sales going back up again with that game, like Grand Theft Auto and Last of Us and stuff, and Uncharted, where we see people just rebuy those games because they look a little bit better and they are
mhm.
more definitive and all of that, and people
And a lot of people
experiencing it
didn't
for the
buy
first time.
those. Like a lot
Right?
of
Yeah.
people didn't play Uncharted on the
Yeah.
original
Exactly.
PS3. And a lot of people, I mean, people have heard about Splatoon, but a lot of people haven't been able to play it because a lot of people don't have the Wii U.
Exactly. Yeah.
And I feel like a lot of people are going to be jumping on the NX that weren't on the Wii U, and they're not
For
going to
sure.
go back to the Wii U, so they might as well, unless NX is backwards compatible, which it doesn't sound like it would be with all the
No.
rumors of ports.
Hmm.
And I also I'm going to throw this theory out there too. I think the NX is going to be announced in April, and I'm leaning towards the speculation and belief that it maybe there's even a cheaper version, have like a digital only system, like an
Yeah.
Apple box or so.
Yeah, I was
Um,
thinking that too. I was thinking because we were talking about the whole handheld and then later a console launch, is that potentially they could later release or even synonymously release a box like that, like a PS TV sort of thing.
yeah.
Um,
And it's
that
very
just
Nintendo,
holds,
because
yeah,
Nintendo, I mean, the reason they had cartridges back in the day was to save money.
yeah,
They could make their own cartridges and it was much cheaper. Like they could reuse them and just recycle them instead of CDs. And Nintendo, if they could make a Mario game and sell it for $60, but not to sell a disc, and they save cents, but save a few cents on a million copies,
uh-huh,
like Nintendo would do that. And it's also just, I mean, so many people in the video game industry think that's the direction we're going, is all digital, because movies have almost gone all digital. Um, Music has almost completely gone all digital unless you go like completely back to vinyl.
yeah,
Books are all in Kindle. I mean, it's audio.
hmm,
I mean, it's just all digital. And while I think there'll always be video game stores, whether it's because they're selling modern games or they're selling like the classic cartridges.
yeah,
I think there'll always be a place for that, but I think that is, unfortunately, in my opinion, unfortunately, because I like the physical stuff. I think that's
yeah,
the way we're going, and Nintendo probably would be one of the first to usher in that future thing. But speaking of
yeah,
sales,
yeah,
jumping ahead a little bit in our notes, because you were talking about Splatoon sales, Uncharted sales, Last of Us sales,
yeah,
the NPD Group, which tracks video game sales in North America, has
yeah.
revealed the top 10 best-selling video games for the month of March.
Indeed, they did.
The Legend of Zelda Twilight Princess HD did well as it entered the charts at number 3, beaten by, of course, The Division. That
Yeah,
was like a huge release,
hmm,
and Far Cry Primal.
yeah,
Pokken Tournament also entered in at number 7. But the
yeah,
big thing is, I mean, The Division, regardless of game, Nintendo, Sony, Microsoft, The Division was huge.
yeah, definitely.
And it was released on several platforms. It was a new IP. It was hyped for years.
Uh-huh.
And then Far Cry Primal, the Far Cry brand, Far Cry franchise, was released on several consoles. But then you have Twilight Princess HD. I mean, I guess beyond Far Cry and The Division, there's not too much competition. But that just, I mean, still was impressive to me that it was top 3. That people
Hmm.
even went out and bought it. That it was a remake. That people were trying it out. Um, that it was on the console like the Wii U. I thought that was impressive. And then Pokken obviously coming in the top 10, like that's just good and makes sense. What's even interesting in speaking of sales is we also have some information on Shovel Knight, which has officially sold and likely surpassed now 1.2 million sales. And it owes nearly more than half of its success to Nintendo, which is really, really cool.
Yeah,
If you want to check this out, I think you can probably just Google or go to Yacht Club Games' website. They have an unnecessary amount of detail on their sales, how many people have played the game, how long people play the game on
yeah,
average,
yeah. It's
where they're
ridiculous.
playing it, how often they're playing it, what time of the night they're playing it,
Yeah,
if they're playing it in the living room, in their bathroom, in their kitchen, if they're playing it with a friend, if they're playing it upside down, if they're playing it with their legs crossed, if they're playing it in a couch or a sofa. They have all of those details there. You just have to know where to look. Anyway, the specific confirmed numbers is that Nintendo has accounted for about 46% of all sales, 17% on the Wii U, and 29% on 3DS,
3DS.
respectively. And then we also have information on the Amiibo sales, which did very well. Um, and I think there was some other information that it was like, as far as like first week of sales and other information like that. I mean, overall, if it was Nintendo, it probably took the lead, if not PC, which makes sense and stuff. And granted, like it's been on all those longer, and there's probably lots of people that bought it there because they wanted to play it. And maybe if it would have launched everywhere at first, it would have done better on other consoles. But I think it's cool that Yacht Club Games had the faith in Nintendo and the respect of Nintendo because it's very much so Nintendo inspired game, like in every way, whether it
Yeah.
be Mario, Zelda, the Mega Man games and stuff, like very much so inspired by that. And so, cool that they kind of gave Nintendo that opportunity, and that moving forward, Shovel Knight will be associated with success on Nintendo consoles.
Yeah, definitely.
Hoping that they continue to respect that deal, which they seem to be. They seems like because I was worried that after they launched on PlayStation, nothing against PlayStation, but I was worried that they'd be like, all right, now we're just gonna be moving on. We're so big now that we're just gonna be kind of forgetting their roots almost. That
Yeah.
Nintendo really helped make them the name they are. I mean,
Uh,
they did it for themselves. They developed an awesome game, but
yeah. Well, they
Nintendo really
seem to
helped them.
care about the audience. They seem to like want everybody to be able to play Shovel Knight, but they
Hmm.
also seem to be very happy with Nintendo, I think. I think they have kind of a
Yeah,
happy relationship going. I know Nintendo Minute and stuff has done a lot of Shovel Knight sort of shout outs and segments, and I think it got either like won one of their Game of the Year awards for handheld or something,
yeah.
or
It's
got
such a
very
good game.
close. And even like Nintendo Voice Chat and Game Explain, all of their Game of the Year awards. Like Shovel Knight was very on Nintendo in like the Nintendo community and everything. It seems like it's one of Nintendo's like babies in a way, and it
Yeah, I
seems
mean, well, people
like
thought he was gonna be. I was sure he was coming to Smash.
yeah, well he
When they
should
said
have
there was
come
an
to
amiibo
Smash.
coming, and then like the success he's had with Nintendo, it was just like, there's no way he's not coming, and
He should
hopefully
have.
he still has a chance.
Yeah, hopefully, yeah, for sure
But yeah,
he could. Um,
but yeah, I mean that's about. I mean, we have a little bit other.
Well, shouldn't you you kind of skipped over that Hollywood announced to launch a or they may it's actually a rumor that they may launch a big budget Pokemon live action movie.
Mhm.
And there's a juicy rumor going around that originated from the Hollywood Reporter,
Juicy, juicy.
juicy, which suggests that we should expect a big budget live action movie based on the Pokemon franchise. It seems as though Legendary, like the people behind like Jurassic World and stuff, are the company that have been chosen with the task. However, Warner Bros. Was among the early favorites to take on the project. As you might expect, Legendary, Warner Bros., and Sony declined to comment on the rumor. But I thought this was kind of significant enough and just interesting enough that we should probably
Yeah,
touch on
definitely.
it for a minute.
Yeah, I was gonna touch on it. I was just doing the wrap up.
Okay, I didn't know if
Jeez.
you kind of skipped over it with because it was before the NPD group
Yeah,
story.
I just thought it flowed better with how
Yeah,
often
yeah,
we're
I
saying the
understand.
word
Yeah.
sales with Splatoon.
Hmm.
I thought it flowed well. But yeah, no, definitely. What was I gonna say? Um, yeah, do you have any thoughts on this? I mean, I had something in my
Um,
head, but
well,
I
I
guess
think it
I
could be
just left it the
really
juicy word.
like with Pokemon Go and stuff, and the whole trailer we saw, where they kind of took that live action approach with
Uh-huh.
Pokemon, and it seemed really cool. Like I don't know. I would be very skeptical and concerned about it just because we've seen video game movies don't do so well. The Dragon Ball Z like anime and stuff to
Yeah, I was gonna
film
say Ratchet and
sometimes.
Clank. I'm super excited for.
Yeah, definitely. Well, and even like the animated Pokemon films are great films and like maybe not masterpieces, but they're
Pokemon
still
Origins is a
yeah,
masterpiece.
they're still like they're not cheesy, horrible like Dragon Ball Reborn or whatever it was that
Yeah, or
horrible movie.
Avatar: The Last Airbender. Like
Right.
that live action was
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
absolutely. It was the first 3D movie I saw.
So yeah, I'm very
It was
skeptical.
terrible.
Yeah, uh,
So mad at
you
I
know,
have a bad stigma now with 3D because I just
it's
can't help but think of Avatar,
yeah, it's
The Last
super
Airbender, not the Avatar.
right,
Avatar.
right. Yeah, the M Night Shyamalan thing.
Mm.
Um, but yeah, I don't know. It just seems like it has a lot of potential to be extremely cool, and it has a lot of potential to be extremely bad and like the worst thing you'd want to do. But it also could be like great for kids or something, and just
Mhm.
not for maybe us and not for like big fans. Maybe they would just uh, make cater it more towards a child audience. I'm not sure exactly, but to see the CGI Pokemon in a live action environment, I'm sure there'd be some sort of cool. Because at
Yeah,
least like in a way like with Dragon Ball, they're making these characters like they have to cast an actor for Goku, they have to cast an actor for all these for Vegeta or whatever. For
yeah,
the Pokemon live action movie, it would actually be like CGI Pokemon, which would make it a little bit cooler and little more believable in some ways, I would think,
And you would have you. I mean,
Epic
I would
Pokemon
assume they wouldn't
battles.
necessarily do Ash. Like maybe they could do Red story,
Yeah,
or even just like an individual Pokemon trainer that's like completely his own adventure. And then you don't have, like you said, with like Goku, for example, you don't have someone trying to be Goku. You don't have like that. Like you know what Goku sounds like, you know what he looks like, you know what he should look like, or you have an idea of what he looks like in your head. A Pokemon trainer is a Pokemon trainer. Like they're an average human being.
yeah,
Um, and then the CG Pokemon that were in like the Pokemon Go trailer, like didn't look the best because it was a trailer, like they
yeah.
looked a little flat and stuff. But if they were to really put their money into it, and if it were
Hmm.
to be Legendary or Warner Brothers or Sony, it would no doubt be very well done, as far as like just animation quality. And so, I mean, I would have faith in it, and I'd definitely be excited for it. Like, I mean, the idea and the rumor is exciting, but it's just that a rumor. That kind of stuff gets so caught up in like development limbo, um,
Yeah,
and the fact that it's not being like already like made and released for the Pokemon 20th anniversary makes me think that they may lose some incentive to move forward with it.
yeah.
I don't know. It's just one of those things where it's like, yeah, of course they probably have thought about making a Pokemon live action, and of course people are probably trying to fight over it. Um, Not the first time, won't be the last. I think there'll be more news value once it becomes like,
Not a
all
rumor.
right, we have, I mean,
Yeah,
we have the Han Solo lead like cast, like it's
yeah,
that kind of stuff where like we know who's playing the Pokemon trainer, we know who's playing we know that Danny DeVito is officially the voice of Pikachu for the live action Pokemon.
yeah. A screenplay has been written.
Yeah, I mean stuff like that. But
Yeah,
even that, I mean, you have The Last of Us, for example, which the screenplay was written. There was discussion of what was it? Was her name Maisie Williams,
yeah,
from Game of Thrones? She was like
hmm,
being cast as Ellie. I mean, we had so
yeah,
many like confirmation, and then when interviewed about Uncharted 4, Neil Druckmann's like, "Oh yeah, we that's kind of done. Like we've been so focused on Uncharted that, I mean, it's
yeah.
probably not going to come like anything. Nothing's probably going to come of that. Like it was just a fun project to think of, and it's just like what? Because that seems like it. I mean, if any game had its like ready to go, it was that one. I mean, I guess we have like Assassin's Creed coming out this year with Michael Fassbender, but it's just I don't know.
Hmm.
I'll believe it when I see. I mean, the movie posters. I mean, that's when it's like, okay, I guess this is happening. Um,
Right.
Similar to Ratchet and Clank, which I didn't think was happening until it's like, dang, they have like a trailer for this. This is a real movie. But a quick shout out, I think, to wrap up the show. Quick shout out to, do we have his name? Darbian.
Yeah.
He set a new world record, which is, I mean, I'm sorry I don't have more of a praise for you, but yay,
Woohoo!
congratulations.
Dabian!
Super Mario Bros. Has a new world record. Darbian set a new Super Smash Bros. Record, or Super Smash Bros. Super Mario Bros. Record,
Super
today.
Mario Maker.
Yeah, I trying to earlier before we were playing the show, I was like, "Are you gonna include this story about some guy making the Super Mario Maker record?" And it's just like, what? Um, but the entire run has now been uploaded on the YouTube. It's less than 5 minutes. So if you want to watch it, I mean, you can watch the entire game get beat. I saw some like screen cap of him like taking a sigh of relief because it's probably just so high intensity.
Yeah, I
Uh,
watched a little bit of it. I didn't watch the entire thing, but it's just
you don't have
really
time.
impressive. Like, yeah. Well, it was just, yeah, to just the precision and how many
Yeah.
times he must have gone through
Is
that
he? I
is
mean, I probably
absolutely.
should have watched it myself. I have to admit, I'm being a hypocrite. I haven't seen it either. Did he glitch it or did he actually run through it?
From all that I had seen, he was doing a straight run through.
Okay, I
But
like those speed runs. Like, um, Cosmo, or now I believe his name is, or her name
mhm.
is Nar. What is it?
I would think he would
Starts with an
have
N.
to have used like pipe warps and stuff, but like nothing glitchy or game breaking. I don't
Yeah,
believe. I don't believe, but I didn't see the whole thing. So, but what I did see was like at least that he was doing some. It wasn't like he just was running back and forth for 10 seconds and then jumping 5 times and hitting a
yeah.
block and then
I
all
don't
of a
I don't
sudden
like those
credits
speed
start
runs. Like
popping up.
they definitely do have like their own appeal sometimes. Like it's like how are they gonna break the system? Like the
Yeah.
one guy that like ran back and forth and then like you said, yeah, like threw a block up but then caught it over there and the
Uh-huh.
whole game like just freaked.
Yeah.
It's like how did that happen? How did you discover that? That stuff's interesting, but for like a world record, you beat Super Mario Bros.
Right.
It's cool when it's just a straight run, like that kind of world record.
Mhm.
Um, but I think that's it as far as the news. We're gonna close out with a new segment.
Yeah.
We're calling it. I think this is the next thing, right?
Uh-huh. Yeah.
We're calling it "Would You Rather?"
Would you rather?
Like the Wii U, like would you
Yeah, would you?
rather? Would you rather? And
Will you?
basically every week, or maybe not every week, but every once in a while, we're going to close out the Koppai podcast with a question to leave the listeners with. They can comment down below, or you can tweet at us at Koppai Media. Or if you're listening on iTunes, you can do the Twitter or SoundCloud. You can do a comment. Or any way you want to contact us, you can. Hop over to our Facebook, facebook.com/Koppai Productions. Um, we're gonna lead out with a would you rather kind of hypothetical Nintendo situation that sometimes will be really fun. And we have one planned for the Animal Crossing one, and we're gonna have hopefully just some moving forward. And we're gonna try to keep it really brief. We could make them like a whole probably podcast episodes, the concept of would you rather do this or that, and explain your reasoning and how that could affect you and stuff. Like we can just ramble on forever on that, but we're just gonna close it out, leave our answers, and maybe feature some of your answers in the upcoming episode. If some of you have some really cool answers or reasons why. But the question this week is: would you rather, moving forward from this point on, only play Nintendo, um, like Nintendo handheld consoles or Nintendo home consoles, assuming that, and if the NX, for example, is a hybrid of both, you could only play it then at the home or on the go. So would you rather only play Nintendo on the go consoles or at home consoles?
Okay.
DS, Game Boy, etc., etc.
Right, right, right. So
Uh,
I can't get my like send it in and get my capture card installed and then be
no,
playing.
it has to be on the portable.
Oh
So
gosh. Okay.
if you have like the Game Boy adapter, you can't plug that into your
Yeah,
GameCube and play it on
okay.
there.
Right.
If the NX, like I said, is compatible with the TV, you can't
Yeah.
be playing it on the TV because then at that point you're
Oh,
playing the home console.
yeah. That's
Um,
true, I guess.
it has to be home or home console, TV, Nintendo, or portable Nintendo.
Yeah.
Um,
Well,
and the games that are tied to that. And so I mean, for some like Smash Bros is on both.
yeah.
I mean, if you do home console besides Stadium, you or Pokken, you're kind of missing out on the Pokemon games.
Yeah.
But if you do the portable, you get the handheld games, but you don't really get the 3D Grand Adventures of Zelda,
Right.
Mario Galaxy,
Hmm. Yeah.
etc.
Yeah, yeah.
And I'm wondering, should we throw in the caveat of should we include Virtual Console? Because I mean, then you do have some handheld games on the Wii U Virtual Console.
Yeah. Yeah, that's true. Yeah, sure. Virtual consoles count. Yeah.
Yeah.
Those are thrown in. So am I going first or are you going first?
I will go first.
Okay.
I'm gonna go with handhelds.
Okay.
My reasoning is one,
I wonder what I'm gonna choose.
Pokemon's a biggie.
Yeah, definitely.
Was like the reason I got into Nintendo and the gaming, into the idea of journalism and video game news and publishing and
Yeah.
all of that. Like
Yeah.
it's a huge part of me.
Pokemon's huge.
A lot of and all of the classic console games are on there. You have the SNES games on there. You have the NES.
Yeah.
Um, although I can't do it now, one day in the decades to come, we'll probably be able to play console games that are out there now. Eventually, I'll have to wait, but they'll eventually probably come. Many years from now.
Yeah.
Um, and I do already play a lot on the go, or I play on my 3DS just at home. On the couch, I play like at my desk. I'm already playing the 3DS. It's kind of sometimes easier to play than to plug in the system or the console and get on the TV and stuff. And you just do have those epic stories and experiences. And you do even have like Super Mario 3D Land. You have A Link Between Worlds, Link to the Past. Excuse me. Puberty at 22. But yeah, I think there's just a lot of reasons to go ahead and play on the handheld. That if I mean, I just kind of try to think like even if the next year, like if I hear like, oh, I can't play Splatoon anymore, I'd be like, oh, that sucks. But you know, I can play Fire Emblem and I can play Luigi's Mansion and Pokemon and my Mario games. I mean, it would just I'd still be able to have like almost every franchise where like the it seems like the home console would be a little bit more bare.
Yeah.
And then also like if I'm ever on the go or if I'm ever away from my TV, I can't play Nintendo. But if I have a handheld or a portable Nintendo device, I can do
Yeah,
it
for
wherever
sure.
I want.
For sure, for sure, for sure. For sure. Uh, my response, man, it is hard. I actually am like still, cause I for like at first with if we allowed me to have like the capture card and stuff, of course I'm gonna go with handhelds.
Yeah, that's
Um,
stupid, man. That's such a
yeah, it's a get around,
yeah.
because it's like yes, then I get like kind of the best of both worlds. But um, in Pokemon, I'm with you. It's like such a huge thing to like to choose consoles and to totally get rid of Pokemon. Thinking about that and the effect and like, there's like really no game on consoles that's like even role-playing games and stuff. There's nothing that is like Pokemon.
Yeah.
Pokemon is
People
its
people told me Nino Kuni was. I played Nino Kuni.
yeah
Great game, beautiful game. That's not Pokemon.
yeah it's Pokemon is its own thing and it's
Even Cyber Sleuth. I looked at that and like we watched videos on Cyber Sleuth, Digimon. Like I'm like,
yeah
because I really want a console experience of Pokemon.
yeah
There's just
well yeah
nothing I can
definitely
find. Leave comments if there is, but I
yeah
doubt you'll. I mean, I bet there's stuff that's like it and tries to be like it, and you'll leave comments saying this game's kind of like Pokemon.
yeah
It's not.
well and it just to me the sad thing is that I might have to get rid of Pokemon. I might have to go with the consoles because I was thinking about it this way. It's like, first of all, if I'm away from home and I don't have access to video games, like at all times, like I can't take my 3DS everywhere with me or my Vita, like maybe it's a good thing. Maybe sometimes when I'm on vacation or I'm leaving the house, it's good to disconnect from that video
Man,
game
don't get all like
air
moral
in a
and
well,
like
and
high
I'm
ground on me.
right. Well, and then I'm thinking, okay, at home, like I just the big screen experience is so precious to me and the immersiveness of like playing Zelda on the big screen. And one big thing that sticks out to
No,
me is that I
wouldn't you be
don't,
able to play like Uncharted still though?
well, the thing is like Fallout 4, things like that, Skyrim, the
But you
Elder
could do
Scrolls
that
series.
still. I'm talking Nintendo here.
I can do that stuff.
I would assume that in this
I'm
hypothetical
talking about just
situation.
like as overall as like consoles versus handhelds.
Oh,
If I
I
could
was
never play a
talking
console game,
Nintendo because I that
okay,
was
yeah,
part of
and
my
I
big
was I
answer
was
was I
gonna
could do Pokemon on the go, but then I could go back home
well,
and
then
do Uncharted on the big
that's
screen.
another cop out,
That's
cause
not fair though, because the question is,
well, I
would
was
you
gonna ask.
rather
You
Nintendo?
didn't. Okay, okay, yeah, okay. I'll give you that. I then in that
That being said, though,
case,
I still think I'd stick with my answer and do Vita 3DS because then I have the
like
Uncharted experience on the go.
if you could not have like a PS4, you can never play like the Skyrim or the Fallout 4s
Okay,
or
that is pretty tough.
yeah, it makes it tough because I'm just not thinking that in any
But
reality
every game on the
Grand
PS4 is
Theft
a game
Auto
on the
5 is
Vita with
not
remote
gonna.
play.
Yeah, that's true. But then, what are you playing there? Are you playing a console game or what's going?
Uh,
It gets it's like we're getting into some crazy philosophical handheld console
and what does
debate
it mean
here.
to truly be alive? Like,
Yeah,
and to be a good person, morality wise. Like, what is good and what is right and what is wrong? Lots of things that come up here with this discussion on handheld versus home console.
yeah, it's very true. Um, I don't know. Yeah,
Okay, so
it's
I'm gonna because we have to wrap this up. I'm
right,
gonna
right.
definitively say my answer is still I have to stick with handheld.
Yeah. Well, and also
Fortunately, it's not real,
I
so I can
wanted to
just
throw out one last like point in the siding of handheld is that I think that I've played and beaten way more handheld games in my life
yeah, definitely.
than console games, and like there's just I don't know, it's so difficult, but I think that oh crap, since we don't have much time, I'm gonna go with the opposite end and say I'm gonna stick with my console kind of gut sort of thing and
Yeah,
say bye bye Pokemon, I'm so sorry.
you still get it though with
But
Pokken
yeah, but that I
and
get
Virtual
my
Console.
I've been
Actually, are
playing
those on the? They're not
so
on
much
the Wii U.
Twilight Princess HD and it's been so gorgeous on my big screen that it's like I just don't know. I love it so much and to know that I can kind of just unwind in front of my TV with that. But also I was, then I go back to thinking like a handheld game is kind of like a good book in some ways where you kind of sit down with it
Oh
in front
yeah.
of you and it's just like a nice
Yeah, I have
Just a
Star
little, and
Fox
so it's
64 3D. I'm gonna play this week and prep for Star Fox Zero, and I'm so excited to curl up like on my couch, and it's like summer weather outside, so
yeah,
like the breeze is feeling good, and just play like a Star Fox Epic Saga on the 3DS and
yeah, and that game
3D.
is so epic on there.
I've never played Star Fox. I played
Yeah,
Star
wow.
Fox Adventures on the GameCube.
Yeah,
I think I rented that, and I was like, "What is this game?
yeah.
Like, what in the world is happening?" And it was like the only Star Fox game that was like that. So I've never really played a true Star Fox experience. So I'm super excited to play that, and we'll have that discussion next week. But for now,
Mm.
we are at the end of Koppai Podcast episode 18. So answer that question: would you rather only play um, Nintendo handhelds or Nintendo home consoles? Um, to justify it however you will. If you believe that certain rules and guidelines should be established, like it should be either all handhelds, including other consoles, or all if you could still play your PS4, do that. It's a fun discussion. This isn't like a real thing that's happening, but maybe list those rules or your reasoning of why you would choose home or handheld, and that's going to be a fun would you rather, and you can leave those comments down below or tweet at us or find some sort of way to contact us, direct message us, call us up with our personal phone numbers, and we'll call you back and be like, hey, good answer. But for now, we're at the end of the episode, and so thank you so much. Sorry we went a little bit long, but there's lots of rumors to discuss, and I mean, you have Zach going to Bill Trinen's house. You have to share that experience. Full disclaimer, that did not actually happen. Hopefully we don't get like, sued for like what is it, like
Defamation.
defamation of character, yeah, or something, or like some sort of like
He'll clear it
misreporting.
all up episode 100 when he's on the show. So
Yeah, well, when we have Bill on in episode 100, he'll be like, you know what? Well, actually, hopefully we can film that within his house by the fire. When would episode 100 be? Because I mean, if there's 52 weeks in a year, and we're at episode
a couple
18,
years from now.
that means next year at this time we'll be at episode 80. So it'll be around E3,
Okay.
or like shortly after E3, about halfway through or closer to the holiday season of next year, which would
Awesome.
be a perfect. I mean, we would at that point our goal is to be at E3 next summer. Hopefully through Patreon support and other forms of income. Hopefully we can save up because honestly, it's not too hard to get there. It just does take a little chunk of cash. And so hopefully we'll be at E3 2017, and then yeah, we'll have Bill on for episode 100. These are all the goals of Koppai, and if you want that to happen, if you want to give us the money to go to E3, to meet Bill Trinen, to have him on the show, to have these fun discussions and this Nintendo speculation, then hop over to patreon.com/Koppai Productions, where for just $1, you get exclusive content, you get to help support us, and there's going to be more content coming that you'll get access to. For $5, you get to, or also when you donate $1, you get an entry to win a Nintendo NX. Once we
X gonna
hit,
give it to ya.
X gonna give it to you. I think the current goal is at $500 a month, overall for Patreon support is when when we'll give away the NX, when we're at the $500 a month level. We have $33 a month right now, so we're, I mean, not super close, but it's not like impossible for that to kind of pick up speed in the upcoming months, and for by the time the NX comes out, for us to be at that goal. In which case, if you are a patron supporter, you are entered to win that. And every month you're entered, you get more entries to win. So you get, if you donate $1 in March, you get one entry, $1 in April, and then June, July, like you get an entry per time. So if you support us now, by the time the NX comes out, you'll have 6 or 7 entries compared to someone that may just enter at the last minute. And also, if you donate, I think it's like $5 or $10, you get more entries. You get your opportunity to have your question on the show. You get shout outs. We are very supportive of the fans that support us, and we definitely communicate with them and ask what they want. And they kind of get first come, first serve sort of dibs on communicating with us for what they want out of the exclusive episodes and stuff like that. So, lots and lots of perks, and we try to just continuously improve that experience for our patron supporters. And so we're so thankful for that, and we hope that if you're listening to this, you are inspired to go support us. Even just, I mean, $1 a month means the world to us and gets you all those perks. Which, I mean, $12 a year doesn't. I mean, for some that may honestly be too much and it may be too hard. I mean, maybe you just don't have the debit card or the credit card to do that. But maybe try to find a way to set this up for, so you can support us there. But if not, we will continue to provide free content on a week-to-week basis. We are sticking with that standard and that mission of creating a community absolutely for free for you. And we just have more and more stuff coming. It's going to be such an awesome year. Like I just get more and more excited the more stuff we plan, because I just think that it develops more and more potential to be an awesome community of Nintendo fans online. And yeah, I think that's all we have. So unless, Zach, you want to close us out with anything, some sort of inspirational message that maybe you had through a divine revelation while you're at Bill Trinen's, if you want to share that, I mean, feel free to interrupt. But other than that, no. Okay.
Sorry, I was actually trying to get to. Never mind. I was trying to get it so like I have this little sippy thing here. I was trying to get it to just do little bubbles in the water and be like, "Good night, kids. See you next time for unclogging the Nintendo pipeline and doing the Would You Rathers."
That's such a weird outro from you. What in the world is that? I'm like, you guys so deathly quiet, and I just hear like this kind of slurping noise. I'm like, what is happening? What in the world?
I was trying to prepare, but it just didn't work.
Yeah, no, I think this has been a really unique episode for us. So thank you so much for listening. We'll be back next week with our Star Fox Zero impressions and discussion, and more Nintendo rumors and discussion and news and speculation and fun discussion and questions and sharing your answers of Would You Rather. And if you want to show your Super Mario Maker level, we will play it and talk about it on the episode. And I think that's everything. We're going to have a guest interview in a couple weeks. That's going to be a game designer. So that's someone worked on a Wii U game, and it's going to be so cool. Bye! We almost had it.
Koppai.
Koppai. Oh man, good episode.
That was fun.
Mm-hmm.
Awesome. And I thought it like went by really quick too. Like it was it was one of my favorite episodes we've done, I think.
I'm kind of nervous about the whole. We basically claim that Bill Trinen told us some very, very serious information. I kind of worried about that. But...
I think that it's like super obvious though, that like we're joking.
Yeah,
like,
I would hope
super
so.
obvious.
And we do say like within the whole podcast that it is not real.
Yeah.
And so, but I'll edit this because I want to have it edited all tonight, just so I don't have to worry about it tomorrow. But the snippets are gonna be so hard for this because we kind of did just ramble.
Yeah.
We didn't really clearly define when one start, so I may have to do like initial, like the GPU of NX, the development of NX, the ports of NX, the like. And I don't even know what to call the episode. Like we've already had an NX Rumor Roundup episode. So Zach goes to Bill Trinen's house. Koppai episode 18. Zach, or parentheses, may or may not have gone to Bill Trinen's house. Our talk with Bill Trinen.
Yeah.
Parentheses, not really. Something like that.
Yeah. All right. Well, I think I'm gonna head off, get this headset off my head because it's getting.
Okay. Right on.
Yeah.
Talk to you on Facebook.
All right. Bye.
Bye.